Welcome back to your favorite convention-related podcast, Con Job. We've had a little bit of a hiatus as I've been kind of out of commission in various countries doing some shows. So in this episode, Jeremy and I are going to be on to talk about international shows. He's done one, I've done a few, and we just kind of get into the ins and outs and like what to expect, how to look for them, how to apply for them, what you should kind of things to think about. So the usual. Hope you enjoy.
And we are back. So without further ado, Mr. Jeremy, sup?
Hello. Sup?
And Dylan has I don't know, what do you say, family obligations? It's always
Yeah.
something. It's always something.
I was gonna say, never mind. I was gonna say something like explosive diarrhea.
Yeah, that's actually probably
Can't
more
be
accurate. I think that's his excuse. So we'll just call it that. Yeah, we've been on a little hiatus lately, huh?
What are you talking about? It's been a week.
No reason. I had nothing to do with it, pretty much. Being away, which is probably a good segue into what we're talking about this week. What are we going to discuss?
I want to hear about Abu Dhabi.
And just international shows, because you've done one. I've done
Mm-hmm.
71 of them. So
Yeah.
we'll just kind of talk about, I guess how to get in, what to expect, the pros, cons, stuff like that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess we'll start with Abu Dhabi. This is our fourth time doing it. A very easy process as far as, you just find a show and apply like you would pretty much any other show. I think it was Japan. I know was it the Japan one? I don't know. Anyway, one of them, not the Abu Dhabi one, but the Japan one or the Paris one, one of them, they make you pay through a bank transfer. And I don't know about you or your bank, but a bank transfer for an international bank is not as easy as it sounds. Like you can't just Zelle them. You can't just, enter your routing number and, all that stuff.
So
It was kind of a debacle.
I did that for Tokyo Comic Con. So
Okay,
it's
so it was
probably
the
that
Japan
one.
one. Yeah, so that was it.
Yeah.
It was hard, and then there's fees involved for doing the bank
Yep.
transfer for international, and so it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say it's an issue, but it's
I
an
I know,
obstacle,
like,
right?
it's for me doing wire transfers is like writing checks. It's not something you do super often
I haven't written a
anymore,
check
right? So
since high school, I don't think.
yeah. So for me, when you're doing an international wire like that, it's just like hope you get it right, because if you don't, the money's just gone.
Exactly. That's a good way to, yeah, that's a good
And
point.
for Tokyo specifically, um, like most of the information is there, but some of it is kind of inferred. So it's like, I hope this is right. It was.
Not to mention at least for me, like they said it was whatever yen, right? They use yen, or is that
Hmm.
true? So whatever the price was. So I went to the bank and told them, hey, it's whatever yen, and they told me what it was going to cost in dollars. And I said, okay, did the transfer, got it all taken care of, paid my fees. Turns out I was like a little bit short. So now I had
Yes.
to go back and add that a second time, and I still had to pay another fee. So that was, so it was like, what the heck? So
So I know my bank, whenever I did mine, it said that I needed to cover an extra amount just in case. And because it prompted me to do that, actually when I said it, I ended up sending them like $1 worth too much or something like it was very precise.
oh,
So
okay.
I
You didn't get
didn't. I
refunded.
would have screwed that up. No, I didn't get refunded. No, kidding.
But other than that, and I, like I said too, they weren't all like this. Some of them you could just, like the Abu Dhabi one is run by is it Reed Pop? I think it's Reed Pop. But
Okay.
no, I'm sorry, it's Fan Expo. It's Informa. Informa.
Oh, okay. That makes
So that
sense.
one they just bill you like like your normal, like they normally do for like MegaCon or whatever. So that one wasn't a hassle at all. That was nice. And we've done it so many times now. You can pay a little bit there and then pay the rest kind of closer to the show, so you don't have to pay it all up front
Well,
or anything like
is
that.
that an expensive show?
No, and we do an artist table. I know the vendor booths are relatively expensive.
Okay, that was
Um,
also Japan, where
yes, same thing. That's why we
my
do artist
my
tables there
eight
too.
foot table was like $1,000,
Yeah, but
but
artist tables, nothing. It's like
it was
it's like
like it was like
200.
300 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now the Paris show, they didn't allow us to get an artist table because she has a business. She has a FEIN number. She's considered a professional, so you get what they call a coupe de pense booth. And so those were pretty expensive. I'm trying to remember what they were. What the yeah, it was like almost like 2 grand. So it was
Wow.
yeah, it was expensive, and it's a 10 by 10. You're inside like these walls. You know what I mean? There's like little walls
Mm,
around you, but they give you lighting, they give you plugs, they
like a
give you
physical booth.
yeah, you're not going outside that booth. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's cool.
Your table's not hanging out. It may hang out the one side, but
Yeah, that was one
um,
thing I actually appreciated about Japan. And apparently, I've seen it at a lot of international shows where they have actual physical structures that you just
yeah,
put your stuff up in.
right.
Um,
Yeah, you don't need a backdrop. You can just hang it up on the walls
yeah,
that are there. Yeah.
it's actually it's pretty nice. I if you're flying anyway and you don't have to take a bunch of stuff, why bother?
Yes, correct. Um, but now I will say the Paris show, while it's not the greatest because the people there are they don't they don't go into debt. They don't use their credit card like we do in the States. They hey, I got $300. I'm spending $300. They don't just go, oh, I'll spend 300 and then charge the rest. They don't
I'll
do
pay
that
them.
there. But uh, attendee wise, I want to say it's the biggest show we've ever done. I swear to God,
So,
there's 250,000 people there. I'm not kidding. It's 300,000. It's crazy how
well,
many
that's
people
still, I
show
mean,
up
that
at
can
this
still
show.
work in your favor. I mean, I personally don't enjoy having people. I mean, I'm sure y'all have
Well,
had it
it's a
where people are
huge
like,
hall. It's bigger than
well, no, I
NYCC.
meant, um, when you get somebody at the booth and they're like going to get something and they do their card and they're like, like they're sitting there like praying that they have enough on it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I don't want your money. Please don't.
yeah, yeah.
Like, I
No,
want the
it's
money, but I don't want it this way. So I'd be fine. If 250,000 people that didn't want to go into debt, that's okay.
yeah, and I'm telling you, it's a huge hall. Um, the language barrier there was tough because it's called Japan Expo Paris. It's not in Paris. It's just
I,
outside.
I thought you were fluent.
I'm not yet. I'm a
I
lot
thought your
better.
years of Duolingo were
I'm a
gonna
lot
pay
better. I
off.
just I just hit 800 days today. 800-day streak.
Congrats.
Um, I'm much better now than I was the last time we did. We did that show, 2 years ago was the last time we did it, and I knew some words, but majority of people spoke English, right? Some of them were
Yeah.
very, very broken English, but there was a few that had absolutely no. But that's Google Translate. It works just like Japan.
You Google Translate and pointing and
Yep, yep.
saying things slowly,
Right.
loudly.
But one thing we've come to realize too is the ones that were the language barriers a problem is there's some of our pieces where you kind of tell a story about it. It's not just look at it and buy it. It's they want, oh
Yeah.
wait, what is that? And then you tell them what it is and why it's significant or why you painted it. And by the time you're done with the story, they're like, I have to have it. You can't do that
Hmm.
stuff when there's a language barrier. You just got to go. It's a castle. It's a
Yeah.
forest. You know what I mean?
That
So
was, yeah, so that was, in Japan, trying to relate to someone about, you know, the Doom buggy from Haunted Mansion. And it's like,
oh right.
this is why I like this. And they're just like, Haunted
You
Mansion.
mean the
Yes,
Doom buggy?
that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Dune.
I
Dune. My
would
bad.
never,
I was gonna. Well, that's why I
not
corrected you.
dare.
'Cause,
Yeah, you
I know you
would.
cut all your hair off, so just making sure that you didn't cut all your
Yeah,
wisdom off with it.
well, didn't start with much.
That's true. That's true.
Um,
but yeah, I mean, once you're in the show though, then it's obviously you got to get there, and it really just kind of depends on when it is. Like that Paris one is in July, so flying to Paris in July is a lot more expensive than flying to Paris pretty much any other time of the year. So that eats into your
Yeah,
costs,
it's fair. So we're planning on doing Japan again this year. Um, and looking at
When
flights, they're already more expensive.
when is that? December?
December, yeah.
Yeah, and when's the Singapore one? December also.
It
Because I'm
was,
wondering. Oh, it's the
I
same
can't,
weekend as Tokyo.
was it?
Yeah, it's the same. This year it will be.
Hmm.
No, and we're doing Singapore
Yeah,
this
well,
year.
I have an allegiance to Japan now, so
Yeah, well, arigato,
it's,
or should I say 감사합니다?
no, don't say that. Uh, wrong,
Um,
wrong country.
so,
But
I wonder if I
flights
should
are going up, hotels are going up.
I wonder if I should tell the flight attendant story.
You shouldn't.
No, okay, I won't. I won't tell it. Meg's in here telling me no, don't tell it. Um, so yeah, so let's talk about Japan though, and the language barrier then, because I just talked about the Paris one. So
So I will say for Japan, like kind of the same thing. Like I'd done
I
some
thought you were fluent.
learning. No, never claimed to be. I think I've told this story before, but it's like I felt pretty good about knowing some basic stuff until you land, and then you have to talk to the cab driver at the airport, and you realize how stupid you are.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's how I feel with
so
the French. It's like once I start to speak anything, I'm like, I really am stupid.
yeah. So I will say, like, it takes time. Anytime you're like swapping, I don't understand how people that like even bilingual people how they can like go back and
Just
forth
go
so
right
quick
into it. Yeah, I'm always mesmerized by
because
all the Spanish people, how they can just talk to me and then talk to their friend in Spanish, talk to me in
yeah,
English, and then without
because
missing a beat.
it took me a solid week for my ear to adjust
Yeah,
to, and that's another thing. Like if there is a language barrier, like if you've done any sort of learning, um, it can take or it takes me some time to like context switch and think about things and like
right,
listen for certain words. And I mean, maybe next year I'll be better. Who knows? But
right, right.
um, language barrier was not as big of an issue as I thought. Um, little bit of Google Translate, lots of pointing. Um, I think I, I think whenever I did the review,
Bowing,
I
right?
was telling about this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's like cultural stuff where you have,
Yeah. Remember,
they bow,
you don't
you
hand
bow a
them,
little bit deeper. You
you
hand
don't,
them
you don't hand
their
them
like
change. You put it on the table.
yes, and if
Yeah,
you do have to hand it over, you do it with two
two
hands and you
hands.
present it.
Yes.
Like there's little stuff like that that like nobody's gonna like ding you on it, but
Right.
it's
Just
just
it's something nice
you,
to do because it's how they do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like accepting the fact that you're going to be ignorant to a lot of things and at the same time attempting to show like your best face when it comes to that type of stuff, I think
Right.
that means a lot over there, everywhere. But um, like Jen actually put together like a cheat sheet because Jen had done zero training before we left. So we get
Yeah,
there,
she was learning German,
she was
right?
like, "Oh crap." Yeah, yeah, if some German actually we were at Disneyland and this German lady rolled up at the the Bell one, where
Beauty and the
the new
Beast,
one,
right?
which yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever the castle one.
Yeah.
Um, and it broke down and this girl started speaking in German and Jen's like, "Ooh, I can actually talk to this person." So it was like the first person she could communicate with. Um, but Jen wrote a cheat sheet and um she did like translations for like all of the like common phrases that you just like all the like denominations of money, like all of the like pricing and everything, like how to say last one
Mhm.
or certain colors and stuff like that. We just had it taped up behind our little area,
Yeah.
and even that sort of thing, like, is just a quick reminder. It's like, oh, this is 2000. It's like Nissan or something like that, and they're all like,
Yeah.
oh, like, and they just pull out the money and hand it to you. Makes it so easy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I think just like I said, understanding that you're a stupid foreigner and attempting to work within that and show that you're like trying to be like decent.
And it goes a long way trying to do some of that stuff, and I think they really appreciate it too. Instead of just going, it's $40. Like, give
Yeah.
me, you know,
Well, because I think of it like, it's a pretty helpless feeling when you can't communicate like that, and
yeah,
everybody
yeah,
just looks at you like you're stupid. So I think if you can like show that you're trying to do something, like people will work with you.
right,
They want
yeah.
it. They want it to work. They're stopping and looking at your stuff, so they're
And then
interested.
when you get like once you're in the show or whatever, after like that stuff, it's like you got the flights, right? Like obviously they're going to be more expensive than a flight that we're going to Charlotte or we're going to New York, so they're a lot
Yeah.
more expensive. So you got to keep that in mind when you're factoring in your costs. And then there's bags.
Mm-hmm.
So we got murdered one year coming back. So we do, like, everybody who's listened to the show more than once knows, we do American, and we get the 3 free bags. So going there, we get the 3 free bags, and so it's not a problem. You get there, whatever. But coming back, for some reason, we've almost always had an issue with our bags because it's like we fly American, but they put us on one of their sister airlines. So coming back, we almost always get Etihad, and Etihad
Okay.
gives no craps about our baggage allowance for American. So we've struck the one night we're flying home, and it's like, I want to say it's like a 2 a.m. or a midnight flight, home in Abu Dhabi time, and we get our bags. I got 370s, and they're like, okay, that's going to be $2,700 in baggage fees. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what the heck's going on here? And they're like, yeah, like you're allowed, like, 60 kilos or something, or 30 kilos total.
Kilos.
You could
Yeah.
have one bag or 50 bags. You would get 30
Oh.
kilos. That's it.
Oh.
So my first bag was like 27 kilos. And then the second bag was like 24, and the third one was like 30. So I'm like, what are we going to do? So we literally took out all the prints that we were bringing home, left them there in the waiting area, and all the canvases, because it's cheaper
Well,
to
it's
just buy
cheaper to
new
get them
ones.
reprinted. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know a good printing company, but
Yeah.
it's cheaper to get it done that way. But it was like, again, you're just like, crap, that's just a lot of wasted
So
money.
that printing company would probably have your new prints waiting for you by the time you got home from that flight, because
Yes.
they are that fast.
Yeah. They're that fast, and the flight takes that long. That's
Um,
for sure.
so I guess that's like an important travel thing, period, right? Like paying attention to the baggage stuff. So like
Yes.
when we did Japan, that was like one of the big factors in the flights that we picked because um we did it's called ANA. It's a Japanese airline. But then on the way back, there was a code share with like Delta or something like that.
Okay.
And doing that, we got our 2 free bags both ways.
Nice.
Um,
Okay.
there was a limit per bag. I want to say it was like 20 something kilos. So it ended up being, I mean, coming back, we didn't have hardly anything. And we actually came back with one or two extra bags because Japan, like, the whole deal is like you're supposed to go there with nothing because you're going to come back with bags. And it was true. But I think in general, when you're flying, like we've talked about now with Southwest, like I got hassled coming
Yeah.
to the show I'm at now by
Yeah. Yeah.
Southwest. Um, and that's never been a problem. So by the time I left that interaction, I was like, all right, well, this just going to make all that easier. I'm just going to go figure something else out for my flights. It doesn't help. I got like 6 flying shows in like July and August, so I don't have a ton of time to figure it out. But I mean, you're talking $2,700. That was more in bags than we spent on our flight. Like our flights from because we left. That's another thing, being crafty with your schedule. So we wanted to do Fan Expo San Francisco, but part of it was also we get to leave from San Francisco. Leaving for Japan from the West Coast is way cheaper. So doing the San Francisco show, we did Southwest. It was like one way for each of us was like $150. But the difference that it saved us in flights was like $600 or $700 total. And we did a show and made some money.
Yeah,
So
that's the most important part, right?
so I think being crafty with that, paying attention to your bag allotment, that
One
sort of
thing
thing.
too is I do think if you're going to do an overseas show, for the most part, I think you should bring two people. Bags is
Oh
a big
gosh,
reason.
yes.
Bags is a big reason because you get usually two per person. But I think that's. I mean, you can do it by yourself. You just got to bring less and put more in your carry on. But so let's talk about once we get there, because as far as Japan went, I mean, it was a little harder to find where to actually enter when you got there. But for the most part, I feel like the shows are run exactly the same, right? Did you
Yeah.
notice any big differences? I didn't.
I mean, other than like it's not a huge difference, but culturally
Right.
there are a few differences where
Yeah.
over
Well.
there, there's like well-defined things, right? That if you speak the language or you're in the culture, like you understand. So it's like even just checking in was like I got into the building and I dropped all my stuff without checking in just
Yeah.
fine. But like going to check in and get badges, like it was an ordeal. It took probably, I think I sat there for like 30 minutes until someone that could help me because I was on a different list with all the foreigners. But the guy that was doing the check-in wasn't the guy handling the foreigner people.
Right.
Even though
Right.
he could see I was on the other list, it wasn't a thing he could do.
You just
So
ran
over
this way.
there, it's like it's sort of like union stuff here, where it's like I'm the guy that like removes the tape from the electrical thing.
Yes.
Then you
Yes.
got to
Yes.
wait
Yes.
for the other guy to do the other part. That's
Yeah.
kind of how it is there, just socially. Like if the guy was told this is his thing, then like he's not going to go outside of that. So outside, but normally, I mean, besides the weird check-in thing, the show was absolutely just as any other show here.
I
Same,
feel like it's all the
walk into the
same. Yeah.
building, got your badge, they just wave you in, say good morning. That's pretty much it.
So with that said, as far as these overseas ones go, I think it really just comes down to, what market do you want to go and try, right? I mean, obviously reach out to people and see if you can find any, get any feedback because,
Yeah.
Japan's a good one, but I feel like a lot of these countries that have um, terrible exchange rates with the dollar are generally going to be bad. Like we did this show in Prague this past, when we were there, and it's one of the worst shows we've ever done.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was run very well, run extremely well. Just
well, yeah.
it just people, yeah, because
If they don't
everything's
have the
so
buying
cheap there.
power,
Well, everything's so cheap there. So like prints that were selling for literally the equivalent of like $3. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and
So here we
that's
are trying
not
to
enough
sell them
for
for
you.
20, and they're like, "Oh gosh, $20." So we had to
Yeah. Well,
lower them significantly, and then it's like, "Geez, what the heck are we doing?" Then, the stickers we can only go as cheap as we can. We can't really just, give them away.
yeah,
So,
that's
so
another
yeah,
thing. It's understanding the market, what they like. So
yes, yeah,
another Japan thing. Um, I'm just only going to use that because it's the only international show we've done. But um, they it's like I said, it's total flip flop from here. So where sometimes we feel a little like fish out of water with not having new anime stuff. We're not like in like our demographics like older and in Japan, they love superheroes. They don't, it's
yes.
not
They
that they
love
don't like
Marvel,
anime and manga, but it's they can go to the 7-Eleven and get everything they need, right?
yeah, yeah,
So when you hear Comic-Con, also they don't do Comic-Cons. They don't have a um it's not like a normal thing. They have very specific like niche like meetups that they do where like they have Comiket where a bunch of the manga artists get together and sell their stuff. That show They do it like 2 or 3 times a year. It gets like 500,000 people every time. So it's just a different thing there. So they don't do typical Comic-Con, but when they do, like they expect Spider-Man, they expect Superman, Batman, that type of thing. They love Disney. Everybody loves Disney, so that's like an
Right.
easy one. Um, Star Wars is huge over there.
Yes.
So
Yes.
um, understanding, like I don't know what the market in Prague is. I would not Captain America, I'm assuming. Um,
I don't even know what the market was. I was so miserable the whole time.
or France. Like I would assume
France was
France
big
has a
anime.
similar.
They were big in anime there.
Yeah, I would assume France is similar to the
Prague
States.
was anime too, but there was some all yeah, like yeah, I would say anime too. But yeah,
So, just it all depends. And the more you can, or another example is we didn't carry large prints or anything like that to Japan because they don't have the space.
yeah. So that was
Um,
like us with our first year in Abu Dhabi. We brought only our large prints, and we sold out of basically everything. And we had guys that were asking to like cut the one off the backdrop because they wanted that one because we were sold out. You know. So then the
yes.
next year we
Okay.
kind of bit our nose off to spite our face. We were like, oh, let's bring the small and the big. And they or actually no, yeah, we did that. And it was like if we were just kind of stuck with what we did, just bring the bigs, you know what I mean? And so Kuwait, when we did the Kuwait show, it was like, oh, let's just bring the small ones. And we brought 8x10s, which is something we don't ever bring anywhere. And halfway through being there, we were like, crap, we should have just brought the big ones because they would have sold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then you're just like, crap. Now I feel like I'm losing sales here. I mean, losing
Yeah.
money because you could definitely the sales were happening. Just they would have bought the big ones.
Yeah. I
So
will say I've not spoken to anyone myself yet that went to like Star Wars Celebration. But a show like that, if you're doing a show that brings in an international audience, all of
yes,
that doesn't matter.
right.
Like
International agreed.
like
That New York
like
would be classified as an international show, right? San
yeah,
Diego, even
yeah,
MegaCon kind of would kind
yeah.
of fall
You
into that one.
I think for us, like we get the most international like sales that I know for sure because people ask about taking it back to Korea or Italy or whatever, and it's like hopefully you can get it back because
You're like, yeah,
it's gonna be what it is. Like I can't really get you another one to Korea.
yeah. I could, but it's going to
Um,
cost you $800 in shipping.
but yeah, shows like that I wouldn't stress. So like if you're doing some giant international show like a Star Wars Celebration, I heard a lot of people sold out of like everything that they brought.
Right.
Because I mean, it's such a rabid fan base, and they were I personally know like 20 or 30 people that went over there as attendees.
Oh, nice. Okay. So
So it
then
was huge.
what are some words of wisdom, I guess, that we could give to people about overseas? Because my number one thing is if you're looking to go somewhere, I'd say check this, like look, or if you're looking to go somewhere, see if there's a con relatively close in maybe in a different
Yeah,
country and try it.
I, th-
I mean, what's
I
the
think that's
worst that can
my
happen? You lose a little bit of money, but you never know. You pay for your vacation, you
yeah,
know?
that's I think the
Or
words of wisdom, as much
sorry,
wisdom as I can give.
or maybe you never know. You go there and do the show, and you find out that you want to move there, like what you're going through.
That's never happened. Uh,
Yeah.
but um, I think the biggest thing is like what you're saying is don't. I wouldn't look at any of those shows as like I'm going to go make a bunch of money. I would look
Yes.
at it as I'm going to go learn something and I'm going to get to go to a cool place or a place. And
Get a
you might
little
hate it,
vacation out of it.
but like the whole deal is like if you can, it's if your things aren't going well and like money's tight, like don't count on one of these shows to pull you out of that
Correct.
hole.
Correct.
Um,
Some of them can.
but but if you're looking to subsidize, I mean, doing taxes, those flights don't hurt.
Yeah.
Those
No, it's
like
nice.
like those
Nice tax
expenses don't
deduction.
don't hurt.
Right.
And if you happen to make money, that's even better.
Correct.
Like I said during our review of Japan, we were there for almost 3 weeks, and the show paid for all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So that's that's a win. And because after coming back from there, we ended up I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's like kind of inspired by our trip. So I used it as some kind of creative fuel, and the show I'm at now, that stuff, like literally, I brought probably 80 different things, like little pieces. I'm almost out of those after one day.
Wow. Wow.
So that stuff is now selling better than some of our traditional things that we've done. So it's like it's always something you never know what you're gonna take from it, but um, use it as a learning tool, potentially a thing to go visit a cool place that you've wanted to do, but don't don't count on it. It's risky. Don't count on any show, but definitely not the international ones.
All right, well, anything else we want to tell them? Any knowledge we need to drop?
Knowledge. I have no knowledge,
That's true.
um, as you've explained. Um, no, I got nothing. Just spay and neuter your pets. That's a
Yes.
thing, right?
Help control the pet population. Have your pet
Yeah.
spayed and neutered.
Um,
Oh, Marker. Come on.
who? Never
Marker.
heard of him.
What? This is right. Happy Gilmore?
Let's say that's a Happy Gilmore reference, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there was one thing that I want to say, but I can't remember what it is now, so it doesn't
See,
matter. I'll
there
just
you
keep
go.
you all in suspense. We'll find out when Dylan gets his bowel under control next
Wow.
week.
Let's hope it's next week. Jeez, the guy might have to go to the doctor. All right. Well, we will let everybody go. And what do you got, Jeremy? Take us home.
Um, I got nothing. I already told you, I got nothing.
Jeez, this guy, I
Man, I'm
tell you,
tired. It's been a long
couple
day. I'm in a
couple
hotel by
weeks off, and
myself.
he's just. We're both in a hotel. Come on,
I'm
you
nothing
can see
without my hair. I
you can see
can't.
the
I
price
can't.
list behind me on the door.
Go schedule an international show.
Yes,
Go. Um,
go have fun.
don't do Duolingo. Do like something that actually works. Um,
Erroneous on all counts.
yeah, that's it. Just go have fun. Go explore. Go move out of the country if you want.
Yeah, if you want, exactly. All right, well, we'll catch you guys hopefully next week or
It'll be
sooner
next week.
or later. See you guys.